What's up, YouTube? So, in this video, I'm going to be going over the Day 2 picks of the 2022 USFL Draft. If you're not familiar, each round they had to pick specific players. So, for rounds 13 through 17, they had to take receivers. 18 through 19, they had to take safety, and so on. You get it. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm not going to know all these guys. Hopefully, this league succeeds at its job in getting me to know them. That'd be great. But I will know some of them. And also, I did do a video like this for Day 1. So go ahead and check that out if you want to. Starting things off with the Birmingham Stallions. I will kind of somewhat talk about the Day 1 picks as they relate to the Day 2 picks. So, for example, Victor Bolden, who's a pretty decent receiver, Emmanuel Hall, and Osiris Mitchell. I like all three of these receivers. Osiris Mitchell I actually have a video on him. He's a big body contested catch guy. He was actually just in last year's draft class. He was pretty low on my list, but that was just because I thought last year's receiving class was pretty good. But now that I know the types of receivers they have, I can give a better idea of Alex. He is the former FIU quarterback. I'm not too sure about their tight end, and I also am not familiar with their running backs. But I think with the receivers here, I think that Alex can be pretty decent. Jonathan Newsom is a pretty decent player. Tay Hayes as well. He played for the Dolphins for a little bit. So that's kind of fun. Obviously, Scooby Wright played for Arizona, both in college, and also played for the Cardinals for a little while. Terrell Hanks, I actually have an old video on because the Dolphins actually brought him in to be a practice squad player. So go ahead and check that out if you want to. Kind of less athletic, but does his job well. So yeah, pretty decent player. Pretty much a Sam linebacker. Excited to see what he can do. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look. By the way, Chris Doom, again, for defensive end. That's a dope-ass name. Clayton Thorson at quarterback. I'm not really familiar with their receivers too much. But I do like their tight end, Brandon Barnes. He was pretty good in the XFL, so I am curious to see how that works. But I'm not really familiar with the receiving core too much. Another player for them is Donald Payne. He played for mostly the Jaguars, but had a little bit of a stint with the Ravens too. He's a pretty good player, at least in this context of the USFL. I think he's probably going to be a pretty good linebacker. So yeah, moving on to Michigan. They did draft Shea Patterson yesterday and Paxton Lynch. They have two pretty decent quarterback options. Jeff Fisher, the former Titans and Rams coach, is going to be coaching them, and he was responsible for drafting them. It looks like he was prioritizing O-line pretty heavily day 1, but did get a pretty decent quarterback who can move a little bit. Not much in the way of receiving, at least not in my opinion. Maybe these guys are really good. I'm just not familiar with them, to be fair. But Stevie Scott is a pretty good running back, pretty hard runner from Indiana. So I'm curious to see exactly what he can do. But beyond that, I'm not really too sure. I think they're planning on running the football quite a bit. But we'll just kind of have to take a look. But they're definitely looking like they're going to want to run the football a lot. So, and that is Jeff Fisher's MO, is to play defense and run the ball a lot. So that would make sense for them. So moving forward, we got Ben Holmes, who is a pretty good strong arm quarterback, versus DeAndre Johnson, who is a little bit more on the mobile side, more athletically gifted. Obviously, was the Last Chance U star in season 2, so that's kind of fun. I'm not really super familiar with their receiving core. I do know Nick Rose. He's had some chances in the NFL, but I do, and Braden Bowman's a decent guy too. But I do like their running back group. I think it's a nice 1-2 punch between Mike Weber from Ohio State and Trey Williams from Texas A&M. Trey Williams has had some stints with several different teams. So I'm interested to see that little 1-2 punch once the USFL gets a chance to get started. And with Ben Holmes or DeAndre Johnson, I think it could be interesting. Honestly, I'm kind of rooting for DeAndre Johnson only because I think with this pair of running backs, I think you could open up some like triple option things, and I think that could be a lot of fun. So there is actually another last chance U star in the USFL. We'll get into that later. Oops, my bad. Now we get into the New Orleans Breakers with Kyle Sloter. He's got some. It looks like it looks like New Orleans was definitely prioritizing offense. They're just saying, you know what, who needs to stop people? We're just gonna go score points. They just went crazy with offense. Sean Poindexter is like a 6'6" contested catch receiver. Jonathan Adams is a pretty good player. I'm not super familiar with Johnny Dixon. But Tywan Taylor and Chad Williams are both from the NFL. Tywan Taylor played for the Titans and Browns. Chad Williams, the Cardinals and Colts. So I am excited to see them play at the next level. Well, in the USFL. Not super familiar with their running backs. I know of Larry Rose, but I haven't really watched him super heavy. Sal Cannella, I think is how you pronounce it. He is the Auburn tight end. More of an athletic tight end, kind of light, but will be another good receiving option for them. It definitely looks like they're looking to throw the ball a lot, probably with more like an air raid type of scheme. So we'll take a look at that. Brian Scott, another big arm quarterback. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing him in this league. Devin Gray and Jordan Sewell, Brandon Eagles, they're all pretty decent receivers for him. Then you've got Jerome Johnson, the defensive tackle from Indiana. I actually have a video on him as well because he got signed to the Dolphins practice squad, I think last year, actually. So go ahead and check that out. I actually did like him. More of a 3-tech. Bug Howard, who used to be just a big-ass receiver, was a pretty good tight end in the XFL. So interested to see that. Brian Scott's got some pretty decent weapons. I'm not really familiar with their running backs, but whatever. The Pittsburgh Maulers, they got Kyle Luletta. I think they're looking like they're probably going to want to run the football with Okiki and Isaiah Battle. But they did go and get Jeffrey Thomas, who is a speed receiver, which also really fits. I mean, if you're going to run the ball a lot, you're going to want that speed receiver to take, to take the top off the defense. So that makes sense. Beyond that, I'm not really familiar with any of the receivers. Devontae Smith, though, at running back, I do remember him from Michigan. I liked him pretty well there, so interested to see what he does. They elected not to take a punter or kicker, which is interesting. But they did take a long snapper, funnily enough. And now we get to our last team, which is the team I'm rooting for, and that's the Tampa Bay Bandits. And I think they drafted a lot of really good talent. They got Jordan Teamu yesterday at quarterback, the Ole Miss quarterback, and played well in the XFL. Very mobile, has the arm you're looking for. Brady White is more of a pocket passer, but I really like what they did today to kind of build around what they've got. And Todd Haley is going to be their head coach, who is an offensive-minded head coach, worked with the Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger. Obviously, he was the head coach of the Chiefs. They do have Brandon Wright at kicker as well, who played with the Jaguars. I think he has pretty good potential to get back into the NFL. But just looking at the receiving core, you've got Eli Rogers, who played for Todd Haley in Pittsburgh, so that makes sense, and he's a pretty good slot receiver. You've got Derek Willis, who is from Texas Tech, kind of more just an explosive athlete. He was a track star. I think he did hurdles, I believe. Just really explosive athlete. And John Franklin III, he is the other last chance U star I mentioned. He was the quarterback from season 1, but he's playing receiver now. He went and played football at FAU. And he's played a lot of different positions throughout his career. He's played quarterback, running back, receiver, and corner. So a lot of flexibility there. They might even be able to do some trick plays with him. So we'll kind of see there. Vinny Papale is interesting too. Kind of a contested catch guy. They also have a pair of safeties I'm a fan of. We've got Obi Melifonwu. He is related to Ifitu Melifonwu, the DB from last year's draft class. So that's interesting. And he also played for the Raiders and Patriots as well. I think he's a pretty good player. And then Anthony is a pretty hard-hitting CFL safety. So I'm interested to see him at in this league. Juwan Washington is a running back from San Diego State. I do remember seeing him run over a lot of really bad teams and just kind of ran all over the place. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to a lot of these players. I'm really hoping that this league is successful because I really think the NFL needs a serious spring league that's going to be there with some kind of longevity for these players to be able to go and get a second chance. Also with this team, I forgot to mention too, they also have Dalen Mack, who's just a big-ass fucking nose tackle, and then John Atkins, who's also a good nose tackle from Georgia. I'm not really sure what they're going to do with the both of them. I imagine they'll probably run like a 3-4 type of scheme, but we'll see. But yeah, anyway, that's going to do it for this video. My voice is kind of going because I'm kind of sick. So anyway, if you liked it, I'd appreciate hitting that like button. Have any questions or comments in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.